What is the difference between real and reality?
The notion of real and the notion of reality have a slight distinction between them. Real is an instance of a first-hand interaction, and reality is some sort of totalization of all that is real. The trouble is that you can't really do that totalization, right? So the notion of reality is a synthetic concept. It's essentially a composition concept. The notion of real can be taken as real, but the notion of reality can only be assumed. And so in this particular sense, in the same sort of way that the notion of reality is assumed, the notion of universe is an assumed concept. So if I create any kind of identity between the notion of reality, plural, like plural of the real, right? If I take real and I plural it to reality, and then I say the sum of all that is real is the universe, then because of my equating this composition concept of reality and the totalization concept of universe, then as a result of that particular identity relationship, which again is something we're sort of just stating as a posit. But on the other hand, it's hard not to state that as a posit, right? Because if we say that there's something in the universe which is not part of reality, then now I have a question. What do we mean by that, right? And to the extent that we say that there's something there, then those identities that we were talking about earlier of conjoining these two domains of the real and the universe don't hold. But to the degree that we say that reality and universe are the same thing, then they do hold. And so in a sense, you have a choice point here as to whether or not this feels complete. But I personally don't find that there's much to be gained by having them as distinct, because in effect, most of the stuff that we're interested in is still very much possible within the domain of formulating of the real. Yeah, reality is kind of like this placeholder for the notion of the sum of all that is real. But that's a weird concept, right? Because in effect, there's no real way to construct it without assuming something that isn't true.
Is there a geometric relationship between the concepts of real and universe?
There's a kind of orthagonality, and the notion of orthogonal in the sense of linear geometry is perpendicular angles, right? Like a right hand coordinate system, or a kind of a mutually right angles between the coordinates, and that definitely shows up in the relationships between those concepts.